That was good. All right, Danica Amaral, whose work has appeared in several publications, including the Times of India, Denver Quarterly, the Massachusetts Review, and the Iowa Review, where it was awarded the Tim McGinnis Prize, is a former Steinbeck Fellow and lives in the Silicon Valley with her husband, where she is working on an unlinked story collection and a novel and a novella based on the Hindu epic poem, the Ramayana. And in her spare time, she hangs out with us. And tonight, she's hanging out with you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I just want to name our moderators because they're doing God's work and I don't have the patience to do it. So to Olga, Judy, James, Kurt, and to Ken, can we give them a round of applause? Thank you. I'm going to read from my novel in progress. It's called The Devil's Bathtub, and it's a novel that's based on American songbirds and Indian gangsters, and it's set in Bombay, New York City, and Rochester, and it spans 1979 through 1993. I have two things for setup, and I know people never listen, but it's a literary thriller, so maybe you want to listen. I don't know. So the setup is in chapter 1. My 18-year-old protagonist gets sprung from juvenile prison with help from his brother-in-law Iqbal. And the second thing that I want you to know is that Raju was in juvenile prison because he'd been framed for his parents' double murders since age 12. The murders were in fact committed by his brother-in-law Iqbal, the dawn of Bombay's most powerful gang, D Company. I'm going to read an excerpt from the second chapter, and it's called Fugitive. Furtively, Raju searched Bombay's Sahar International Airport's crowd for a pliant hostage. Foot by foot, their line inched forward in stops and jerks, drawing closer to the officials stamping everyone's passports. A man walked by him to the line's front and gave his already in-line friend a hearty hug, smoothly cutting in. The samosa chai man at the only food stall in here scratched his armpits, yawned, then smiled at the white Firangis walking by who were being ushered by sycophantic khaki-clad officials to another line where their passports got stamped with little delay. Firangis, official, food stall man, all ignored Raju, and the other brown bases waiting like chutias in the longer line, rendered second-class citizens in their homeland. A few stray policemen stood with their rifles leaned against the walls, bored, lethargic. Raju knew those rifles' backs were formidable weapons for beating and breaking bones. Behind them was one of his escape plans. No one noticed Raju, but he imagined everybody ready to pounce, which kept him sharp. A second man walked up to the line cutter and his friend, and the three friends embraced heartily. Raju swore softly. It wasn't right those two men cut the line in this insidious, sneaky way. They spoke to a single Desi woman in line, unchaperoned as far as he could make out, pink lipstick, kajal, and western clothes. He liked the shape of her earlobes, that they were unpierced. They'd be spongy to touch, delicately recoiling when flicked with a finger or a tongue, with no earrings to weigh them down. Gradually his scowl faded. He wondered what they were chatting about. Raju touched his fake passport in his jeans pocket to make sure it was there. He shivered and folded his arms, feeling the schools of erect hairs there easily pierced through the folds of his t-shirt. They make the AC high, but it still smells so bad, no? Said a voice belonging to a sari-clad mother holding a baby in a pink fleece bunny suit close to her chest. A toddler boy ran to and from her and sometimes in circles around her like a moon to a planet. Since she spoke to Raju, the boy had opened his revolutions to include him. Raju courteously responded, having realized that taking the boy hostage could be his leverage if D Company or a rival gang attacked him in the airport. I like your shoes, he said. No way she'd be able to chase after the kidnapper of her moon in those flimsy shoes with a baby in tow. Her effusive thanks for the small compliment told him everything he needed to know. She'd probably lost herself in the children. Her husband likely hadn't fucked her in some time. But there was something about her, perhaps how she judiciously wrapped the blanket around her baby, snagging her bracelet on the blanket, or how she bent down to listen to her moon, giving him her full attention. Raju showed her his ticket. "Are we on the same flight? I love children. I'd be happy to help out if you like." It was sufficient. Now she chatted on with a frank amity, telling him about her mister's cushy clerical job in West Germany, about how the children and she lived with her in-laws in Bombay, but went to West Germany 3 to 4 times a year to be with her mister. He came to India those many times too. Meanwhile, Raju agonized over whether or not to steal her expensive bracelet. He was almost at the front of the line. He smiled watching the earlobe girl laugh at something the official stamping her passport said to her. Raju's waiting attention led the mother to confide personal details. Both children were already German citizens, which, she hoped, would help legally unite the family in West Berlin. For years, her mister wanted her to stay on past the expiration of her visa, believing no court had the heart to separate a family from its mother, but she always refused. "We're nothing without ethics, no?" "Nothing," said Raju. He discerned the shadows behind the story she force-fed him. Mr. and Mrs. connived like wolves to have their cubs born in West Berlin, coveting a first world country's citizenship. He'd heard of Bases doing this. How despicable were these people who cheated in slight, cowardly ways, dwarf-minded chutias like those 2 men who'd snuck into the line ahead. He wanted to grab their collars, their snappable chicken necks, and drag them to the back of the serpentine line. It was the little things, slight adjustments, tiny gradations. They appeared harmless in the moment, but jigsawed together, they changed the whole picture, forever shattering the lives of hapless 12-year-olds. "We're also nothing without family," Raju said gravely. He stepped close to her under the pretext of looking at her baby's face. Ever so gently, he unsnagged, and with some difficulty, as he was out of practice, he unclasped her diamond bracelet and pocketed it. Unsuspectingly, she hefted the baby higher up on her body. Raju's chest constricted. Watermelons, this woman and her baby, his mom. During his summer holidays, Raju used to go to the bazaar to help mom carry bags as her hands were full with watermelon. The fruitwallas laughed, told her to hold it over her stomach instead of her chest like a third breast, but that was how she carried it. At home in their snug middle-class flat, Raju sat on the kitchen counter watching mom plunge a large knife into that waxy green skin. Holding the knife steady, she rotated the bleeding watermelon around until it was 2 halves. Then, the best part, mom's hand approaching his face with a scoop of juicy red flesh from the center, which made all future slices from that half look like someone had taken a big bite out of the middle. She scolded Raju for the pink-red juice stains on his shirt and embraced him as he struggled to get away, exactly as this airport mother hugged her baby. Then his sister fell in love with the murderer, dug a hole in the earth, and pushed mom into it. "Say guten Tag, no? Say in English, 'Hello, uncle,' said the airport mother to her toddler boy. The boy hid behind her, covering his face with her pallu, head mischievously peeping out at Raju through the folds of her sari. Raju bent down and asked him, "Do you like watermelons?" "Yes, I do," said the boy, popping his head out from behind his mother's sari. Raju tousled his hair and, with the other hand, he slipped the bracelet into the boy's pocket. Thank you.